At the forest edge, a quiet breeding cycle begins with two spotted doves sharing the morning canopy. Seen in profile, the pair's markings and posture make them easy to follow through the layered leaves. Feather care is part of the quiet rhythm, a small act that keeps the pair settled and alert. The surrounding branches matter.
Silent. For a moment, both birds become almost motionless, reading the space before making the next move.
The quiet display gives way to a more practical task, finding a hidden place where two eggs might survive. The courtship reaches a brief, natural mating moment, quiet and instinctive. For the beginning of a breeding cycle, after courtship, the pair leaves the open perch and moves towards safer cover. The question now is not a forked branch offers shelter, but it must first prove stable. Before a nest exists, the place itself becomes the first decision. The site is tested with balance, pressure, and stillness before any real building begins. A shallow plea. The hidden fork is becoming more than a perch. It is a possible beginning. The pair moves past courtship now, testing a sheltered fork that may become the center of their breeding cycle.
The empty space is accepted gradually, not by instinct alone, but by repeated testing of balance and cover.
The first piece arrives, a single dry twig laid into a structure that is still more idea than nest. The work is delicate. One misplaced twig can shift the whole shallow platform. The next piece has a curve, and that shape may catch where the straighter twig could not. Some pieces are too brittle to hold the cup together, so the pair must keep sorting as they build. And now the structure begins to take shape, not from perfect weaving, but from repeated pressure and small adjustments.
A curved stem reaches the edge of the platform, giving the shallow nest a stronger outline.
With the rim holding, the next material is softer, meant to line the center rather than build the edge. The construction stage gives way to a quieter moment, as the finished cup becomes the center of the breeding cycle. The building work has quietly become something more delicate. Under the feathers, the first egg has arrived. A single egg cannot stay exposed for long in such a thin cup. Her body becomes the roof, the wall, and now there are two eggs, the full promise of this nesting cycle. The last pieces do not make a strong nest, only a cage. The nest is finished, but it is still only a few twigs in a large tree. Its safety depends on stillness. Day one of incubation begins with almost no visible drama. A small shift is enough to keep warmth even across her. During incubation, even the smallest feather adjustment helps hold warmth over the eggs. The nest is only...
A small gap can matter when warmth must reach both eggs evenly. The parent turns and gathers the cover. Wind turns the loose nest into a test of balance and pressure. Her feet lock the nest in place while her feathers...
After long hours of warmth, the handoff begins quietly. For only a moment, the clutch is visible before the next parent takes...
With the handoff complete, the nest returns to its quiet rhythm. The father lowers his body until the eggs disappear.
The handoff is complete, and the warmth over the eggs never breaks. Now the work becomes almost invisible.
With the nest now his watch, stillness becomes a form of labor. The eggs are unseen, but every adjustment relation.
The whole nest depends on small points of contact. Warmth also requires balance, especially on them. A shadow is enough to change the rhythm of the nest. The response is measured. Watch first, move only if needed. As the day grows warmer, the parent adjusts without abandoning the clutch.
Too much heat matters too. Even on the bark below, the tree is alive while the eggs remain hidden under steady warmth.
A sound from below is enough to change the rhythm of the branch. The adult does not confront the disturbance.
As the light lowers, the nest becomes less visible, but no less active. The eggs are still unseen.
At dusk, the branch changes character, but the task remains the same. The handoff is quiet and precise.
Night brings fewer visible details, but the need for warmth does not pause. The adult turns stillness in us.
A small gust is enough to test a nest built from only twigs and balance. When the branch stops moving,
rain changes the work of incubation. Warmth must now be held beneath wet feathers. The eggs are not visible now. The storm weakens, but the parent does not leave the eggs uncovered. After days of waiting, the next change will come from beneath the shell itself.
On day 21, the first visible sign appears, a hairline crack across the shell. The nest is no longer only waiting. At the edge of the wet nest, the first egg holds in a long pause before the next push. Hatching is not one stretchin.
The chick must push in short bursts. We see the results of their endurance. They must continue to endure. The relentless rain endured. The mother and father stood watch. Then, the first beak broke through the shell.
The nest must endure darkness, insects, wind, wet leaves, and the physical difficulty of hatching. While
As night falls, the mother-spotted dove shields her hatchling, the second egg cracking with the promise of new life.
Under the sheltering wing, the first chick rests while the second egg begins to move.
Stealth them in. The second chick finally emerges, weak and wet beside its sibling. With the eggs gone, the parent's task changes immediately. Their first signals are tiny, a shaking neck, a chin. The father returns by the same hidden roots that kept the nest concealed. One adult guards the
The first transfer is brief, almost hidden inside a careful touch of beaks. One chick rises first.
The smaller chick reaches later, but this time it finds the parent's beak and holds on long enough to feed.
The feeding ends quickly, and the nest becomes quiet again under the mother's body. Each food trip begins with a departure, and for a moment the family becomes less protected.
Before any changeover, the mother reads the branch, the leaves, and the sounds around the nest. The chicks are strong.
As light falls, the father returns to take the warm place before the chicks cool. The exchange is quiet.
Morning brings a new rhythm to the nest. Warmth, feeding, and watchfulness must now take turns.
One chick begins to answer faster, lifting toward the adult before its sibling can rise. The difference is slight.
Now the second chick pushes from below, slower but no longer completely hidden. The adult changes position.
The mother returns by a narrow side route, and the whole nest responds before she fully settles. During the sequence, a fine layer of down is now visible, the first soft sign that the chicks are changing. They are still fresh.
The nest is no longer still, the chicks are beginning to balance against the edge of their small world. Each small lift
Their eyes are open now, and the nest begins to feel less like shelter and more like a lookout.
The next change is written along the wings, where soft down begins to give way to pin feathers.
Feeding begins again, but the forest around the nest is no longer ignored. In a moment like this, stillness can match.
As the chicks grow stronger, even a small sound can change the rhythm of the nest. Silence becomes part of their protection.
The parents read the space around them before making another move. Danger may begin far below.
The danger below has passed only partly. The safest movement now is almost no movement at all. The threat passes under the leaves, not defeated, only moving on. Only after the ground grows quiet.
Now growth makes protection harder. The young birds no longer fit completely beneath the parent. The storm returns when the young doves have grown too large to disappear beneath one body. Protection is stills. Their first test is not flight, it is simply holding their own weight on a wet nest. One chick rises first and the other
As the rain breaks, the nest begins to feel less like a shelter and more like a training platform. After the rain, the first frontier is only a few centimeters away. The chick does not branch the branch through touch. The first wing beats are uneven, powerful enough to shake the fragile platform. Almost falling becomes part of the lesson. The first young dove has found the edge, and the second begins to read the same path from below. The branch must now do what the nest once did, hold their weight and teach balance. The boulder. Now both young birds have crossed the boundary that held their entire world. Their wings are not yet instruments of confidence.
The first flight begins as a small decision, not a dramatic leap. For only a moment, the branch released.
The cup that once held 2 eggs now holds only movement in the wind. What remains is not abandonment,